But I wanted to just share with you briefly about family and family government before I get into this important doctrine regarding civil government, the doctrine of the Lesser Magistrate. And I just want to encourage you to do right by the Lord regarding your spouse and regarding your sons and your daughters. Understand everything is against you now. The government is against you. Most of Christianity is forfeited and is not going to help you. Much of the culture is against you. They've complied with everything that evil men have done. And the reason the family's been attacked is because of Christ. They are at war with Christ, number one. But they're at war with the family because it represents true Christianity in the earth. And what God has to say about men and women, about husbands and wives, about fathers and mothers and sons and daughters. And so they want to destroy it. And part of the reason, of course, for that, or the main reason for it, is because every good statist knows that in order to strengthen the state, you have to weaken the family. And that's been done by design, not only in America where I'm from, but throughout Western civilization. And you've been feeling the brunt of that over the last several years here in Northern Ireland. So, no-fault divorce. Divorce for any reason or no reason at all. Abortion. Homosex being decriminalized. Homosexual marriage. It's all meant to be smirched, to belittle and demean the institution of marriage and family, that sacred thing that God has given us to join in with someone special, and to build homes, those sacred abodes. There's this book that's tremendous, and if you get a chance to read it, I encourage you to do so. It's by Zimmerman, and it's called Family and Civilization. When I got it, I couldn't put it down. I'm a voracious reader anyway. But he wrote the book in 1947. In 1947, he stated that America would soon see divorce for any reason or no reason at all. We saw it in the late 60s, early 70s, no-fault divorce. That we'd soon see legalized abortion in 1973 with Roe v. Wade, and that we'd soon see rampant homosex within the culture. If you've been to America, need I say more? Rampant homosex is an understatement at this point with all that they're doing with that. And of course, he was mocked by his colleagues and by people at large. He was a sociologist. If you know anything about sociology, they do one of two things with Christianity. They either try to act like Christianity had nothing to do with the last 2,000 years of Western civilization, or to have everything bad to do with the last 2,000 years of Western civilization. Zimmerman was simply an honest man, not a Christian. He shows much of the good that Christianity brought to Western civilization over the last 2,000 years. So they hated him for it. And in his work, he declared that the tipping point for any civilization or nation or people group to when they begin their slide into decadence and utter ruin is when the people no longer want to have children. And he said, I don't mean by that zero. He said, although there are those. He said, what I mean by that is they only want one or two. And he showed from the time that the Greeks didn't want to have children till they fell to the Romans was about 150 years. From the time the Romans didn't want to have children till they completely collapsed before the Germanic hordes was nearly 400 years. In America last year, we had 1.68 children per couple. Demographers say you need 2.1 just to replace yourself. America's been committing familial suicide for the last several years now. And Western Europe, far worse. Most of the countries in Western Europe are 1.24, 1.27, 1.28. Committing familial suicide. Why? Because of their pursuit of wealth and ease. So I say all that to tell you, hold your wife dear, men. Build into your sons and your daughters. Don't take lightly your task. It's of massive importance. Zimmerman points out that that's the reason that's the tipping point, he said, is because when men want to be husbands and fathers and women want to be wives and mothers, it produces within people virtue. He said, but when men don't want to be husbands and fathers and women don't want to be wives and mothers, it produces within people vice. And he talked about how we live in a very atomistic society, A-T-O-M-I-S-T-I-C. It means it's the individual prevails, my personal happiness. 75% of the divorces in America, why do they take place? Reason listed, my happiness. 75. So family is put on the back burner. Meism reigns supreme. Your personal happiness trumps everything. And it's the utter ruin of nations. Just follow history. So again, I encourage you to do right by your homes. Men, you have a duty to open God's word to your wife and to your children. It's called family worship. Talk about the things of God. We homeschool. We homeschooled all our kids. We're big on homeschooling, and we didn't hide them away. It's a fault of American homeschooling, as many do it just to shelter their children. We take our children with us to the death camps where they murder the preborn. We take them to the universities before the magistrates. We want them to see how the world thinks and be able to see mom and dad defending the faith, standing true to Christ, being persecuted for doing so, being able to respond to the arguments of the world. Extremely important. So I encourage you to do that and build business with them. We're blue-collar stock. We've built business with all of our kids, landscaping, painting, floor installation, refinishing, window washing. They all do good. They all got married young, all are having lots of children. It's an exciting thing to see. Understand the home should be a place of industry. We live in a statist hell now, and what the state has done is they've grabbed the locus of the economy and used it for themselves while they're decimating family. And you must be at war with that. You must do all you can to bring the economy back into the locus of family in defiance of the state and their evil designs.